How you guys doing? It is Tuesday, September 29th, 2020, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, following the one I just did about the American League stat leaders, I'm going to jump right into it with the 2020 National League stats leaders. And just like I said earlier, with this season coming to an end and the playoffs getting started today, this is probably the window where I can kind of squeeze video like this in just to show you and show some recognition to the players that have really put in that have put in the crazy amount of work in this shortened season. Whether or not their team made the playoffs, I'm gonna give them their recognition just to show how they did. And some of these, I mean, some of them aren't the best, but I will show you. I'm gonna go through the leaderboards for hitting and pitching just to show you who stood out as the cream amongst the cream of the crop this season in the MLB. So starting in the National League, looking at the runs, starting with the hitters, Freddie Freeman, the elite first baseman from the Atlanta Braves, would lead the National League in times he touched home bit and times just home plate. I mean, he would finish with 51 runs in 60 games. Finishing second will be Fernando Tatis, the elite shortstop from the San Diego Padres with 50 runs and 59 games. Dansby Swanson, the shortstop from the Atlanta Braves, will finish third in the National League with 49 runs on the season. Mookie Betts, the elite right fielder from the Los Angeles Dodgers, would finish fourth with 47 runs on the season. And tied for fifth, you'd have Ronald Acuna Jr., the elite center fielder for the Atlanta Braves, and Trey Turner, the shortstop for the Washington Nationals, both tying for fifth in the National League with 46 runs scored on the season. Looking at who led the league in hits, and the crown will go to Trey Turner, the shortstop for the Washington Nationals. He finished with 78 hits in 59 games, which is enough to give him the lead. Finishing second was Marcell Ozuna, the designated hitter for the Atlanta Braves. He had 77 on the season. Freddie Freeman, the elite first baseman for the Atlanta Braves, finished third in the National League with 73 hits on the season. And then tied for fourth with 68, you have Manny Machado, the elite third baseman for the San Diego Padres, and Trevor Story, the shortstop for the Colorado Rockies. Looking out to the doubles leaders out in the National League, Freddie Freeman, the elite first baseman for the Atlanta Braves, would lead all players in doubles. He'd have 23 on the season. Dominic Smith, the first baseman for the New York Mets, would finish second. He'd have 21 of them on the season. Christian Walker, the first baseman from the Arizona Diamondbacks, would finish third. He'd have 18 of them on the season. And Jake Cronenworth tied for fourth with 15 doubles on the season. You have Jake Cronenworth, the second baseman from the San Diego Padres. Nick Markakis, the right fielder from the Atlanta Braves, who had 15 RBIs in 37 games, by the way. Out of these other guys did it in about 50, 60 games. Donovan Solano from the second baseman from the San Francisco Giants also finished with 15 RBIs, along with Dansby Swanson, the shortstop for the Atlanta Braves, and Trey Turner, the shortstop for the Washington Nationals. Looking out to the triples leaders, just to give you an idea, there's a three-way tie for the top. So far, Trevor Story, the shortstop for the Colorado Rockies, Trey Turner, the shortstop for the Washington Nationals, and Mikey Yastrzemski, the center fielder from the San Francisco Giants, are all tied for the National League lead with 4, and there's about 6 players with 3 of them. Asdrubal Cabrera, the first baseman from the Washington Nationals, Jake Cronenworth, the second baseman from the San Diego Padres, Eduardo Escobar, the third baseman from the Arizona Diamondbacks, Trent Grisham, the center fielder from the San Diego Padres, Garrett Hampson, the second baseman of the Colorado Rockies, and Brandon Nimmo, the center fielder for the New York Mets, all finished with 3 triples on the season, enough to tie them for 4th in the National League. Looking out to the home run leaders, Marcell Ozuna, the designated hitter from the Atlanta Braves, would lead the National League with 18 home runs on the season. Finishing runner-up, it would be Fernando Tatis Jr., the elite shortstop for the San Diego Padres, who finished with 17 home runs on the season. And tied for third with 16, we have a few of them. You have Pete Alonso, the elite first baseman for the New York Mets, Mookie Betts, the elite right fielder from the Los Angeles Dodgers, Manny Machado, the elite third baseman from the San Diego Padres, Cole Calhoun, the right fielder from the Arizona Diamondbacks, Adam Duvall, the left fielder from the Atlanta Braves, and A.J. Pollock, the left fielder from the Dodgers, would all finish the season with 16 home runs. Good enough for third in the National League. Looking out to the RBI leaders, the leader would be Marcell Ozuna, as he took the home run leader as well. He finished with 56 RBIs on the season. Finishing second, it would be Freddie Freeman, the elite first baseman from the Atlanta Braves. It's kind of rare where you see two players from the same team finish among the top. And then here's crazy, 3 and 4 come from the same team as well. Finishing with 47 RBIs in the season, you have the elite third baseman from the San Diego Padres, Manny Machado, and his infield mate, Fernando Tatis Jr., the elite shortstop for the San Diego Padres, who finished fourth in the National League with 45 runs on the season. And tied for fifth with 42 of them, you have Charlie Blackmon, the right fielder from the Colorado Rockies, and Dominic Smith, the first baseman from the New York Mets. Looking at who led the National League in walks on the season, Bryce Harper, the elite right fielder from the Philadelphia Phillies, would finish with 49 walks in 58 games, enough to lead all players. Christian Yelich, the elite left fielder and former National League MVP for the Milwaukee Brewers, would finish with 46 walks on the season. Finishing third would be Freddie Freeman, the elite first baseman of the Atlanta Braves. He'd had 45 of them in 60 games. Juan Soto, the elite left fielder from the Washington Nationals, would finish fourth with 41 walks in 47 games. And Max Muncy, the elite first baseman from the Los Angeles Dodgers, would finish with 39 walks, good enough for fifth in all of the National League. In terms of strikeouts, looking at to how the best performers did, Keston Hiura would finish he would lead all batters in strikeouts at second or in 59 games. He'd have 85 strikeouts on the season. Christian Yelich, the elite left fielder from the Milwaukee Brewers, would finish second. He struck out 76 times. Javier Baez, the elite shortstop from the Chicago Cubs, would finish with 75 strikeouts on the season, third most. Dansby Swanson, the shortstop from the Atlanta Braves, would strike out 71 times, the fourth most in the National League. And Nick Castellanos, the right fielder from the Cincinnati Reds, would finish fifth with 69 strikeouts and 60 appearances for the Cincinnati Reds. Looking at the stolen base leaders, the crown in the National League would go to Trevor Story, the shortstop for the Colorado Rockies. He'd finish with 15 on the season. Tied for second with 12 of them, you'd have Roman Quinn for the Philadelphia Phillies, the center fielder for the Phillies, and Trey Turner, the shortstop for the Nationals. They both had 12 on the season. Fernando Tatis Jr., the elite shortstop for the San Diego Padres, would finish fourth in the National League with 11 stolen bases. And then tied for fifth with 10 stolen bases, you have Mookie Betts, the elite right fielder for the Los Angeles Dodgers, Trent Grisham, the center fielder from the San Diego Padres, and Starling Marte, the center fielder for the Miami Marlins. Looking at who got caught stealing the most, the player in the National League who got caught the most, it was Jonathan Villar, the shortstop for the Miami Marlins. And then tied for second, getting caught 4 times, you have Tommy Edman, the third baseman from the St. Louis Cardinals, and Trey Turner, the shortstop for the Washington Nationals. Looking out to batting average, the batting crown went to Juan Soto, the elite left fielder for the Washington Nationals, who finished with a .351 batting average in 47 games. Very young. Of course, the first batting title of his very young 3-year career. Finishing second in the National League is Freddie Freeman, the elite first baseman for the Atlanta Braves. He finished with a .341 batting average on the season. Marcell Ozuna, the designated hitter for Atlanta, would finish third with a .338 batting average. Trey Turner, the shortstop from the Washington Nationals, would finish fourth with a .335, and Donovan Solano, the second baseman from the San Francisco San Francisco Giants, would finish with a .326 batting average on the season. Of course, incredible batting average, by the way. Jumping out to on-base percentage leaders, the lead would go to Juan Soto, the elite left fielder from the Washington Nationals, who finished with a .490 OBP. Freddie Freeman, the elite first baseman from the Atlanta Braves, would finish with a .462 OBP in 60 games played, compared to Soto's 47. Marcell Ozuna, the designated hitter for Atlanta, would finish third in OBP with a .431 OBP. Bryce Harper, the elite right fielder from the Philadelphia Phillies, would finish fourth in the National League with a .420 OBP. And finishing fifth would be Paul Goldschmidt, the elite first baseman from the St. Louis Cardinals, who finished with a .417 OBP on the season. Jumping out to slugging percentage, the leaders, the king, or the crown will go to Juan Soto, who would lead in batting average and OBP, by the way. I'm still going on. He finished with a .695 slugging percentage in the 47 games that he played. Finishing second, you have Freddie Freeman, the elite first baseman of the Atlanta Braves, with a .640 slugging percentage. Marcell Ozuna, the designated hitter for Atlanta, would finish third with a .636 slugging percentage. Dominic Smith, the first baseman from the New York Mets, would finish fourth in the National League with a .616 slugging percentage, and Will Myers, the right fielder from the San Diego Padres, would finish fifth with a .606 slugging percentage in the 55 games that he played. And finishing off the batters, looking at to the OPS leaders, which is the on-base percentage plus slugging percentage if you add them together. Juan Soto, the elite left fielder from the Washington Nationals, would finish with the OPS lead with an 1185 OPS in the 47 games that he played. Finishing second, it would be Freddie Freeman, the elite first first baseman from the Atlanta Braves, finishing with an 11.02 OPS, which is incredible to do in the full 60 games. Finishing third, also hitting with over 1,000 OPS, it would be Marcell Ozuna, the designated hitter for the Atlanta Braves, finishing with a 1067 OPS. Finishing fourth with the 993, it would be Dominic Smith, the first baseman from the New York Mets, and Ronald Acuna, the elite center fielder of the Atlanta Braves, would finish fifth with a 987 OPS to finish off the season. And really quickly, I'm going to jump to the pitching leaders before I finish this one off. Looking out to the ERA leaders, the crown will go to Trevor Bauer of the Cincinnati Reds, who finished with a 1.73 ERA on the season in 11 starts. Yu Darvish from the Chicago Cubs would finish second with a 2.01 ERA in 12 starts. Dinelson Lamet from the San Diego Padres would finish third with a 2.09 ERA. Jacob deGrom, the reigning back-to-back National League Cy Young, would finish with a 2.38 ERA. And Zach Davies from the San Diego Padres would finish fifth with a 2.73 ERA in 12 starts. Looking at two complete game leaders, Trevor Bauer from the Cincinnati Reds, Aaron Nola from the Philadelphia Phillies, and Adam Wainwright from the St. Louis Cardinals are the only pitchers in the National League that have gone through two complete games. And looking at the shutout leaders so far, Trevor Bauer he's the only pitcher that's thrown two complete game shutouts in the season. But additionally, finishing with one on the season, you had Mike Clevenger, who's now on the San Diego Padres. I think he did it from the Indians, but don't quote me on that. Zach Eflin from the Philadelphia Phillies also had a shutout, along with Kyle Hendricks of the Chicago Cubs, Alec Mills of the Chicago Cubs, and Aaron Nola of the Philadelphia Phillies. Looking out to the save leaders in the National League, the crown for saves will go to Josh Hader, the elite relief pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, who finished with 13 saves and 15 opportunities and 19 innings pitched. And before I get into it, he had 31 strikeouts in those 91 innings pitched, which was crazy. But continuing on, Brandon Kinsler from the Miami Marlins would finish second with 12 saves and 14 opportunities. Tied for third, you have Kenley Jensen for the Los Angeles Dodgers and Mark Melancon for the Atlanta Braves, who both had 11 saves and 13 opportunities. And finishing fifth, it would be Daniel Hudson of the Washington Nationals, who had 10 saves and 15 opportunities. Looking at the innings pitched leaders who went the distance, German Marquez from the Colorado Rockies pitched the most innings. He pitched 81.2 innings. Finishing second with one less out recorded would be Kyle Hendricks of the Chicago Cubs with 81.1 innings pitched. Yu Darvish from the Chicago Cubs would finish third with 76 innings pitched. Brandon Woodruff from the Milwaukee Brewers would finish fourth with 73.2 innings pitched, and with one less inning pitched than him, finishing fifth in the National League. It will be Antonio Senzatella, who would pitch 73 innings pitched on the season. Looking out to who would allow the most hits in the National League, that title would go to Patrick Corbin of the Washington Nationals. He gave up 85 hits in 65 innings pitched in 11 starts. German Marquez from the Colorado Rockies finished second. He'd allow 78 hits on the season. Kyle Freeland from the Rockies would give up 77. Rick Porcello from the New York Mets would finish fourth, giving up 74 hits. And Kyle Hendricks from the Chicago Cubs would finish fifth in the National League, giving up 73 hits on the season and 81 innings pitched. Looking at who gave up the most earned runs on the season as a pitcher, Anibal Sanchez from the Washington Nationals gave up 39 runs on the season, which is the most. Tied for second with 38 runs given up, you have Johnny Cueto from the San Francisco Giants, Luke Weaver from the Arizona Diamondbacks, and Trevor Williams from the Pittsburgh Pirates. And standing in fifth by himself would be Rick Porcello after he allowed 37 earned runs on the season. Looking at home runs given up in the National League, that title would go to Trevor Williams of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He gave up 15 home runs on the season. Tied for second in the National League, you'd have Steven Matz of the New York Mets, Chris Paddock of the San Diego Padres, and Austin Voth of the Washington Nationals, who all finished allowing 14 home runs on the season. And finishing fifth, you'd have Madison Bumgarner of the Arizona Diamondbacks and Alec Mills of the Chicago Cubs with 13 home runs given up on the season. In terms of hits batters, that crown would go to Logan Webb of the San Francisco Giants and Zach Wheeler of the Philadelphia Phillies. Madison Bumgarner for the Arizona Diamondbacks would finish third as he hit 6 batters on the season. Looking at who's walked the most batters in the National League, that title will go to Robbie Ray. He walked 31 batters in 31 innings on the season, not doing incredibly well. Chad Kuhl from the Pittsburgh Pirates we would go on to walk 28 batters in 46 minutes. That's the second most. And then tied for third with 26 walks given up. You have Ryan Castellani of the Colorado Rockies, Johnny Cueto of the San Francisco Giants, and Sonny Gray of the Cincinnati Reds. And looking at the strikeout leaders in the National League, that crown will go to Jacob deGrom, the reigning NL back-to-back NL Cy Young winner from the New York Mets, who had 104 strikeouts on the season. The only other pitcher in the National League who had 100 strikeouts in the season was Trevor Bauer, who finished with exactly 100 strikeouts, good enough for second. Aaron Nola from the Philadelphia Phillies, who finished third with 96 strikeouts in 71 innings. Yu Darvish from the Chicago Cubs and Dinelson Lamet from the San Diego Padres would tie for fourth with 93 strikeouts on the season. Dinelson Lamet did it in 7 less innings, but they still both finished 7th in overall strikeouts. Looking at the WHIP leaders in the National League, just to show you who did, which is walks or hits per innings pitched, Trevor Bauer would have the best WHIP in the National League with a .79 WHIP. Finishing second will be the Dinelson Lamet with a .86 WHIP out in the NL West. Finishing third, it would be Jacob deGrom, who would allow .96 walks or hits per inning pitched. He would tie with Yu Darvish. And finishing fifth, it would be Brandon Woodruff of the Milwaukee Brewers, who would allow a .99 WHIP on the season. Those are the only 5 players in the National League who had a WHIP below 5, as Kyle Hendricks had a WHIP of 1, finishing 6th. Last but not least, looking at who had the best batting average that they allowed. Trevor Bauer allowed a 159 batting average against him, which was best out of all National League pitchers. Dinelson Lamet and the San Diego Padres would allow a 161 batting average against. Jacob deGrom for the New York Mets would finish third with a 190 batting average against. Brandon Woodruff would finish fourth from the Milwaukee Brewers with a 204 batting average against, and finishing fifth from the Philadelphia Phillies is Aaron Nola, who allowed a 205 batting average against him on the season. And with that said, those are the statistical leaders that would go on to lead the National League in their specific categories. And once again, I really appreciate you for listening to all 16 minutes of this. Once again, I do credit MLB.com with these stats because I'm literally reading it off there. But I just wanted to show you who is leading on who would go on to lead the leaderboards in the shortened 60-game season. This is the first time, either the first time ever or the first time in recent memory that the season has been this short. And it was just incredible just to see how these players were able to make the most of this very, very short season. But once again, I thank you for listening to all 17 minutes of this. Once again, it is Tuesday, September 29, 2020, out here in this quarantine. Thank you once again for listening to my piece, and peace out.